Beautiful, worse, good. These are the words we use every day to debate which work of art is better, what song is better, which artist is the greatest. In today's culture, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. We hear it all the time. It's become a kind of cultural mantra. Art is whatever the audience wants it to be. No standards, no criteria. But is that really true? Because if we don't question it, what happens to the idea of beauty as something worth searching for? People think their personal opinion represents a fact, or that everyone is right and no one is wrong on these matters. But if beauty is only a matter of taste, then none of those arguments should mean anything. And yet, we still have them. If everything were purely subjective, then anything could be art, regardless of an audience or artistic purpose. A piece of crumpled paper on a table, or a street light on a road. And yet, that's not how we actually think. Because in the same breath that we say art is subjective, we still argue about it. We rank it, make passionate claims, we critique it. We make claims about what is better or worse. But those claims only make sense if some standard exists. What exactly are they measuring against if there's no criteria to be had outside of this is how I feel about it? Now, this doesn't mean the subjectivity of art disappears. We form our opinions about art on the basis of our experience, knowledge, and even physical sense. But that raises a deeper question. What makes those opinions valid? Why listen to film critic Roger Ebert say a film is poorly made? Why defend your favorite book if it's not actually better than anyone else's? The moment we argue about art, we're assuming something more than preference. We're assuming that some judgments are better than others, and that points to an absolute standard, some shared understanding of what makes art good or bad. A case to be made that these standards exist outside of us, and that we discover them by having these discussions. Relativism tells the opposite. It says a short story or even human face isn't beautiful on its own. It's only beautiful because someone experiences it that way. So when we say that song is better or that painting is ugly, we're not stating facts. We're just expressing feelings about an aspect of the world. But this view has consequences. Subjectivity and objectivity are often treated as opposites. One personal, the other universal and fixed. The way it is defined can quietly make the subjective seem less meaningful because it varies between individuals and is often associated with opinion rather than fact. But that's not true. Pain is a subjective phenomenon. It is invisible and hard to describe, but that doesn't make it any less true. So, subjectivity should not be undermined, because then we will risk losing personal taste that helps us uncover a sense of the world. Subjectivity isn't the enemy. It shapes how we experience beauty, but it doesn't help us determine what makes certain things beautiful in the first place. Across culture and time, humans are consistently drawn to certain forms, patterns, and proportions. That's why I believe beauty has an objective character. In fact, it has to. If we take total subjectivity seriously, we're left with three alternatives. First, we could cling to the idea that beauty is nothing more than what we personally think it is. But then imagine comparing a simple stick man to Michelangelo's David. If everything was purely subjective, then neither one would be better than the other. It would all just depend upon opinion. Yet, that doesn't match our intuition. We see, in a very real sense, greater skill and depth, telling us some works just deserve more value than others. And it's not just about the number of hours that went into this work. The fact that we can distinguish this sends a message that beauty isn't just personal, but rooted in something. If I value the stickman, then it is better for me. But this kind of relativism contradicts common sense. Secondly, we could go even further and claim nothing is objectively valuable at all. But then, what motivation would artists have? The musician who believes this will have no reason to write great music. The painter will have no reason to strive for excellence. Improvement becomes meaningless, criticism pointless, and art loses its purpose. So we are left with the third option, that beauty is not created by us, but recognized by us. This is what Plato described in his theories of forms. What we see in the external world are only reflections of deeper, perfect realities that exist beyond the material world. So when we encounter beauty in a mountain or sculpture, we are only seeing a reflection of a universal standard of an ideal beauty. And by discussing it and trying to discover these standards brings us ever closer to true beauty. And we see evidence of this in the artworks that endure. Across centuries and time, people recognize certain works as great. William Shakespeare, Romeo and Juliet. Edward Munch, The Scream. Michelangelo's David. Is it really a coincidence that people across centuries and cultures recognize these works as great? More likely, the simplest explanation is that the aesthetic qualities of these works are objective and public facts. Even in our everyday debates about art, we argue about art, we defend it, we change our minds. We say, I was wrong about that film, I see it differently now. But that would only make sense if there's something to be right or wrong about. And we see patterns like this in nature too. We instinctively recognize the Fibonacci sequence and golden ratio, timeless proportions that appeal in architecture, painting, and even the natural world, proving beauty is measurable, structured, and in some sense, universal. It's not just random. And yet today, we often ignore this. We celebrate schalt culture over craftsmanship, spectacle over substance. Ugliness can be praised in the name of creativity. When we abandon standards, we risk losing the very meaning of art itself, its depth, its harmony, its purpose. So, where does this leave us? Beauty isn't just in the eye of the beholder. It is something we encounter, something we recognize, something we strive for. Our task is not to invent beauty, but to seek it. To ask not just what we like, but what is truly good and beautiful. We may never find true beauty, but it would be a mistake to stop searching for it. Because culture isn't just about consuming art. It's about recognizing what deserves to last. And when we encounter something truly great, insightful writing, or sublime art, it does more than entertain us. It points us beyond ourselves. It reminds us that beauty may not just be opinion, but something real. Thank you.